which enabled him to corner her and strike her repeatedly on the back of the head before strangling her. Hello and welcome to my channel. I hope you're well. My name is Gabby, and in today's video we'll be going through the case of the Bonecrusher, otherwise known as Larry Bright. On the 27th of July 2003, the body of 36-year-old Sabrina Payne was found in a field near Tremont, Illinois. An autopsy revealed that she had been strangled. On the 5th of February 2004, another body identified as 36-year-old Barbara Williams was found in a ditch near Edwards in neighbouring Peoria County. 7 months later, a third body, that of 40-year-old Linda K. Neal, was found near the Mackinac River near Hopedale on the 25th of September. Mere weeks later, the body of 41-year-old Brenda Irving was found on the 15th of October in a ditch near Farmington. That month, the Peoria City Police Department founded a task force of 13 police officers to investigate the cases. In December, they got a major breakthrough when 35-year-old prostitute named Vicky Bomar was arrested for theft. While in the county jail, Vicky informed investigators that she had information that they'd be interested in that she was willing to share in exchange for a plea deal. Vicky told police that in July, one of her customers, a man named Larry Bright, took her to an outbuilding by his mother's house where they shared drugs and alcohol. She claimed that Larry beat her and raped her at knife point. He then ordered her to get dressed and go back to his truck with him, but Vicky seized the opportunity to get away and ran, before managing to stop a car with a female driver who, after Vicky telling her what had happened, that she'd been raped, gave her a drive home. However, Vicky didn't contact police as she had the two outstanding warrants for her arrest at the time. Investigating Larry Bright, the police became aware of at least 6 cases where he had displayed similar aggressive behaviour, particularly towards black prostitutes. Larry was promptly detained and interrogated in late December, at which point he was told that he could be charged with illegal deprivation of liberty under aggravating circumstances. He responded by denying the charges and refusing to cooperate, which led to him soon being released due to the lack of evidence. A search warrant for Larry's property was granted on the 20th of January 2005, and during the search several patches of excavated land caught the police's attention. Larry's mother claimed that they were there because Larry and her had removed several raspberry bushes, but upon digging up the areas in question, the police found caches and many small bone fragments. Based on the evidence, Larry was temporarily detained in the Tazewell County Jail. After it was determined that the bone fragments were of human origin, Larry Bright was charged with murder and the prosecutor ordered his house excavated. Soon after, Larry confessed to the murders of 8 women. In addition to Sabrina Payne, Barbara Williams, Linda K. Neal and Brenda Irving, his victims were 45-year-old Shirley Ann Trapp, aka Shirley Ann Carpenter, a 32-year-old Shaconda Thomas, who were both reported missing in August of 2004, 29-year-old Tamara Walls, who was reported missing in September of 2004, and 33-year-old Laura Lawler, who was reported missing in October 2004 and who Larry identified from a photo after his confession. Most of the victims were known prostitutes and or drug users. Larry claimed that he hadn't intended to kill his first victim, Sabrina Payne, saying that he'd been heavily intoxicated at the time and had no memory of killing her. However, the same couldn't be said of the others, whose murders were very much deliberate. The primary means of murder was strangulation, with the exception of one death that was the result of a forced drug overdose. According to Larry, one victim, Brenda Irving, whose name he claimed not to know had been strong enough to almost successfully resist, nearly rendering him unconscious and almost succeeding in running away, but wasn't able to get out of his house due to a locked door, which enabled him to corner her and strike her repeatedly on the back of the head before strangling her. In addition to Larry Bright's confession, DNA evidence linked him to the murder of Linda K. Neal. Of the victims, the 4 whose bodies weren't found had been burned in a fire pit in Larry's backyard, and most of the remains scattered in rural areas. Larry's motive for the murders remained unclear, not least because he gave a number of different explanations, some of which were disproved. Since Larry is white and his victims were black, investigators initially assumed that the motive was racism, which Larry denied. Initially, he claimed that he developed a misogynistic view of black women after catching HIV from a black prostitute, but a HIV test carried out while he was in custody came back negative, resulting in that explanation being questioned. Later, he claimed that when he was sent to prison for 2 years for vehicle and residential burglary at the age of 19, he was sexually abused by the black inmates and developed an urge to punish black men, which, due to Larry being heterosexual, shift towards being directed towards black women instead. This later explanation, while not proved and having to be held in some suspicion due to the previous lie, is somewhat supported by what a relative of his later said in an interview with the media. According to the relative in question, Larry had refused to talk about what had happened in prison, but he'd been changed for the worse when he got out and started using cocaine and alcohol heavily. Larry's substance abuse became worse after injuring his back at work, which led to the loss of his job and an addiction to painkillers. The combination of the drugs and alcohol, his inability to get a job, and whatever had happened in prison sent him into a deep depression, and authorities believe that it was around this time that he started picking up black women for the sex and drugs. Regarding the murders, the same relative bluntly stated that Larry just snapped. On the 30th of May 2006, Larry Bright pled guilty to 7 counts of first-degree murder and 1 count of drug-induced homicide. He did so to avoid the death penalty, instead being sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. As part of the plea deal, he waived all rights to appeal. In court, Larry had sat nearly emotionless, calmly answering questions with "yes sir" and "no sir." When Peoria County State's Attorney Kevin Lyons read from evidence during the plea hearing, as the faces of Larry's victims stared down at him from a TV screen, he just sat and listened. In a statement read by Larry's lawyer, Larry said, "I know I've committed some horrible and unthinkable acts. I am very sorry for the grief and heartache that I have caused." A spokesman for the victim's family, Reverend Timothy Chris, said that Larry Bright's admission in court that he killed the 8 women provided closure for the bereaved. "We think that for the families, they are now able to say, okay, I don't have a body, but I have an admission, and now we can put this to some kind of closure, put it to rest, have a memorial service for that matter, and move on with their lives." So that was Larry Bright, aka the Bonecrusher, due to the way he disposed of his victims after burning them. If you enjoyed the video, please give the video a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you like my videos. But until I see you again, please be safe, be well, and I'll see you next time.